Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my Tuesday Techniques. This is a monthly class that I hold. I'll be with you shortly, just letting everybody chime in. So I've been away for about 3 weeks now because of the Alaska incentive trip, and I think I'm going to be a little rusty, so I'm hoping I can get right back into this. So tonight is my Tuesday Techniques. Welcome everyone. Hi Rhonda, Connie, and Carol. So this is the card we're going to create tonight. It's got quite a few layers. This is called the Bokeh or Bokeh Technique, depending on how you pronounce it, which is all the little dots that you see in the background. Bokeh is actually a photography term, which means out of focus. So you can see how my dots look against the colored and sponged background. So that's what we're going to work on tonight. Let me bring in the cardstock I'm using. So for the card base, I've got Old Olive, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Shaded Spruce, this one is 5 1/4 by 4. Whisper White, this one is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And then I need a piece of white for stamping. Now for the stamps that I'm using, this is the first time I use this since the new catalog came out. It's called the Floral frames. And we also have the Foliage framelits dies. There's quite a few missing here. I'll show you what those look like. And I've got quite a few inks tonight. I've got Old Olive, Calypso Coral, Daffodil Delight, and Whisper White. And along with my inks, I have sponges for each color. Now, all I did for my sponges is cut the stamping sponge in half twice to get 4 pieces. And if you don't know how I did this, I've explained this before. I usually take the same color cardstock that I use for the ink color, and I don't ever wash these out. That's why I put the color on top, and I usually initial, like this one is Calypso Coral. All I did was use the Everyday Label punch, scored it in the center, and then I fold it, and then I just put it over on the corner and then staple it in place. So it's just handy to have the color on the top so you know which color you're using. I'm also using the 2-inch circle punch, a blender pen, and the stamp images that I'm using from the set are the Hello, the double flower, and the triple flower. Now, the first thing, I'm not going to show you how I'm doing this, but I'm going to show you how I did it, just explain it. This is a window sheet. It measures 6 inches by 4 1/2. I made it larger than a typical cardstock layer. I'm going to put it over this Flirty Flamingo just so you can see it. What I did is I grabbed some circle dies and I just used 3 different sizes to make a stencil. And that's what I'm going to use for my Bokeh technique tonight. Now the dies, I've gone ahead and cut these out so you wouldn't have to watch me cut them out. This is the beautiful die with all the leaf detail. I've gone ahead and cut one in Old Olive and one in the Shaded Spruce. And then this set of dies comes with 2 leaves that go in different directions. So you're able to cut 2 at a time, and I cut 4 with the Whisper White. So the only cutting I'm going to do tonight is when I stamp the flowers. Okay, so let me start out by taking the Old Olive and folding it on the 5 1/2-inch score line. And then I'm going to glue the Shaded Spruce layer. Hi everyone chiming in. I feel so rusty because I haven't been doing this for about 3 weeks now. So hopefully I won't mess up on you. It's okay though, right? Okay, now I'm going to bring in the white panel. I'm going to bring the card beside me here so you guys can see what I'm doing. This is just a scrap. And I'm going to start with the Old Olive, the Calypso Coral, and the Daffodil Delight. And all we're going to do, you can see here where I added all 3 colors. I'm just going to fill up my Whisper White layer. And when I do my sponging, when I use these sponges, I just go in a circular motion. And it's going to look like a hot mess when I'm done. And then we make a masterpiece out of it. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the Calypso Coral. And you can also overlap on some of the other colors so that you get another variation of a 4th and 5th color. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with the Calypso Coral. Now the Old Olive. So you can see that this doesn't really look that cool right now, but we're going to do some magic. And the Bokeh technique is actually an older technique. I just like to bring it back to show because I know I have quite a few of you guys that are new stampers. Okay, we got one more. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for that. Let me just wipe my fingers. It does get a little messy. I wanted to show you something in the catalog too before I move on that you guys probably missed. On page 153, we actually have a Bokeh dot stamp. You can see here. And it actually does the same thing I'm showing you tonight. But this is making up your own variation, which I think is pretty neat. Okay, now I'm going to bring in, what did I do with my snail? Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back. Glue that to my scrap. And this is where I'm going to bring in the stencil and then the Whisper White with the sponge. And we're just going to add circles. Now with the white ink is a lot stickier and thicker. So I'm kind of just pouncing. Okay, so you have the beginnings here of the Bokeh technique. Now we're going to overlap some of the circles. And you'll see where they overlap, it actually becomes darker. Let's see, I'm gonna add another big one right there. So that's all we do. We just keep adding circles by overlapping, and then I'm going to run some off of the edges. So you can see it's starting to look pretty already. Now the white ink does take a little bit longer to dry because it's not a dye ink. Also a reminder that I get class tomorrow night for my weekly Design with Debbie on Wednesday. And I did post the supplies that you guys need for class if you wanted to stamp with me. I posted those a few days ago. Okay, now I'm just going to fill in a few on the sides. Now, these kind of run into each other, so I'm going to take this one and darken that one up. So I'm going to put that right over where it was to begin with. See how that one's a little bit darker? And I'm going to do the same thing with this little one here. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then we'll work on the rest of the layers. Okay, I'm going to bring in my scrap white and Old Olive ink. I'm going to stamp the hello. I love that font, so pretty. And then I'm using the 2-inch circle punch. And that actually fits perfectly inside the die cut. So I'm going to bring the other one and we're going to layer that together. And what I did when I layered, I just kind of moved it over just a little, but make sure that the circles line up a little bit more. So that way you have some of the shaded spruce peeking through. So it gives it that double layer. Now I'm going to glue the white in the center. So see how simple that was? That's 3 layers. Now let me bring in the flowers and the blender pen. I'm going to do 1 flower at a time because what I did is I'm coloring with the ink lines. So in order to get that subtle color, I'm doing 1 at a time so that I can still use the lines to color with. If you wait too long, it dries too quickly and then you can't spread it. So you can see how quickly I colored that just using the ink lines. Now we're going to do 1 with the Daffodil Delight. I'm cleaning off my blender pen. For those of you that have never used a blender pen before, it's a special formula of clear that's in here. When you color with it, you need to wipe off the color you're using to go over to the next color. I'm going to do 1 more. I have to stop and think a lot of times that some of you guys are new and you've probably not used some of the tools that I use for class. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the big shot so I can cut out the flowers. So let me make some room. I know that some of you guys told me last time you do like it when I do some of the cutting so that you can see how I do the cutting. Now I'm going to place the die where it needs to go, and then I'm going to use a piece of washi tape to hold it in place. And I should be able to cut 2 images at once here. So far so good for not having stamped for 3 weeks. Okay, so there's 2 flowers. And I'm going to do the last one. So for those of you that follow me, when I told you I couldn't stamp last week, it was because I had a lot of demonstrators actually when they got off the Alaska cruise ended up with some dizziness. And that's what I had. I had dizziness, plus I was foggy. I had to wear my eyeglasses. I couldn't see well. It was the strangest thing. And the cruise was like the smoothest I had ever seen for a cruise. This was my 3rd cruise. But anyway, it took me a week to get better. It slowly went away every day, a little bit at a time. Okay, now I'm going to get... It's still a little tacky, but I'm going to just be careful. And I did glue this one in place with Stampin' Dimensionals. Let me see, I'm almost out on this sheet. We'll just do 5 on this one. Diane, did you get a treat in the mail today? No, I didn't. Was I supposed to? Okay, I'm going to glue this right in the center. So doesn't that really pop against the shaded spruce layer? I love the way that looks. Now I'm going to glue the die cut layer. And that's going to go right in the center. And I'm going to bring in my little white layers. Hi, Lori. I have to stop and say hi to Lori because I'm trying to help her start making videos. And she asked me a whole bunch of questions while we were on the cruise. I hope you start doing them soon, Lori. Let me know when you do so I can go watch. Okay, I'm just going to tuck these underneath. I did not add the white when I started this, and I just thought it needed one more thing, and the white really makes everything pop, don't you think? Okay, let me go. I'm gonna do 2 over here. So far I didn't ruin the tacky white. Everything's staying in place. So everything else I'm gluing flat. So I'm gonna put this stamp set back where you guys can see it because this is such a pretty set. Okay, I'm gonna glue that flower followed by, wait, let me put this one a little higher, followed by the daffodil. And then we've got the 3rd cluster. And then all I've got left to do is to add a few rhinestones. So because I've done 2 different cards, even though it's the same materials we're using, they really look different. Okay, there's the stamp set. Lori, can I just fly there? That would be fun, actually. So you can see where this one had more Calypso Coral on the front. This one had olive on the front, on the top corner I meant. So that's my card for tonight. That's my technique. I hope you guys like it and I hope you'll give it a try. So just remember, just do like a window sheet with 3 different sized die cut holes. Use that for a stencil and it just makes it so easy. And then you can just wipe this clean by putting it under a faucet. The running water will take this off. So I hope you guys like my card. Thanks so much for everybody that shared. Thank you for all the love you're sending me. And a reminder that I'll be on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time with my weekly Design with Debbie class. Thanks so much for coming tonight, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.